Cale Ripken, not to be confused with Cousin Cal. Cale hit me and said, hey, is it time for us to start viewing Kirby Smart in Georgia as we did when we looked at Bama and Saban and just expect the Dogs to be national champs every couple of years? Hey, on a related note, a little golf clap for Kirby Smart. He is no longer hurting for money because today he signed a 2-year extension and is now a $13 million per year earner. So, now that Kirby Smart is out of the soup line and is comfortable in his skin up there financially at Georgia, let us answer the question. I wouldn't even say every couple of years. I don't look at it as, are they going to win the title every year? That's not the way I looked at Bama. That's not the way I look at Georgia. I ask, are you going to be in it every year? And not only will Georgia be in it every year, Georgia will be the favorite or co-favorite to win the title every year. To me, it's always been about how many opportunities, how many swings can you give yourself? Like Ole Miss this year is going to give themselves a swing. They're going to be in the playoff hunt, playoff conversation. Georgia is that every year. So if you guarantee yourself that you're going to be within swinging, within arm's reach every year, and you recruit like they do, and you're as intense as they are, and you're as attention to detail oriented as they are, the ball will bounce your way. You got better players than most everyone does. You got a better staff than most everyone does. You've got a bigger budget than most everyone does. You've got so many things in your favor that if you keep taking swings, you'll hit. You'll land a couple of them. You may land several of them, but you'll at least land a couple of them. So that's how I view them. That's how I viewed Saban and Bama. Here's what's interesting. When Saban got to Bama, there was a giant already in the conference. It was Florida, and it was Urban Meyer. And it took Saban 1 year to get his program to where they could go toe-to-toe with Florida, and they lost the first time they faced him, and then they beat him the next year and went to win a national championship. But then Urban Meyer was out of the league 1 year later. So it felt like at the time we were setting up for this decade-long battle of Meyer-Saban, Saban-Meyer every year. Well, that's not the way it turned out. And we kind of got a longer version of that with Saban and Kirby, but we still didn't have the runway on it that we really could have had. Like if Saban's 5 years younger, or maybe if the structure of the sport doesn't change and he wants to stick around a little bit longer, who knows what the next 5 years would have held. But we saw him go head-to-head, what was it, I think 5 times or something like that. The most recent time, we saw Bama win the SEC championship game against him. The time before that, Georgia won the national title against Alabama. But now that Saban is gone from Alabama, you just wonder, who's the thorn in Georgia's side? Who is it? It doesn't always come from where you expect, by the way. Like Gus Malzahn had more success against Saban than pretty much anyone else did. Hugh Freeze bit him a couple of times. So it's not always the team that's recruiting heads up against you. Who's it going to be? Would it be like Josh Heupel? Could it be Kalen DeBoer in Alabama? Could Kalen DeBoer in Alabama maintain the trajectory that Saban had Alabama on? Like, yeah, that's a possibility. But outside of that, I just wonder if we fast forward 5 years and Georgia hasn't won another title. The odds are against that. But if they haven't won another title, what would the reason be? I would guess the reason would be more likely to be internal than anything that's happened on the field. That would be my guess. But yeah, absolutely, I would look at Georgia and say odds-on favorite to win it every year. They're the odds-on favorite to win it this year, I believe. And then you put yourself in position and you take your swing.